I finally read a book that's been on my TBR for a really long time, and it didn't go well. Hey, it's Em. And I finally read Spoiler Alert by Olivia Dade. Now, I know a lot of people love this book, love this author, and of course, I am so happy for you if this is one of your favorites. It was not one of mine, and obviously everything in this video is my personal opinion and the way I relate to the material, and we will talk about that now. So, spoiler alert, it was published in, I think, 2020, and as I understand it, it was Olivia Dade's debut. It is the story of April, who is a geologist by day, I think, yeah, and by night writes fanfic for her favorite show, which is called Gods of the Gates. It is a not very well disguised Game of Thrones with a Virgil's Aeneid overlay. So one of the main characters is Aeneas, and then there's a character who plays Cupid. Apparently Cupid, but not Eros. I don't know. And there's so April writes a very particular ship, which in fandom is short for relationship. It's when fans like to pair up two particular characters. And the Lavinia Aeneas ship is April's bag. Lavinia is in the books a very plain, homely, to the point of practically ugly character who is forced to marry Aeneas. Aeneas being, of course, a big hero character and obviously very handsome. And neither one of them are too enthusiastic about it, but apparently, like, mutual respect and love grows over time. April is a plus-sized woman, and so the themes of finding love outside of your looks appeals to her. And so she is active on AO3, but also on a private server devoted to this ship, and she swaps stories with a character called Bawn, B-A-W-N, which means Book Aeneas Would Never, because of course Gods of the Gates is based on a book series that is unfinished, and the showrunners are terrible because they've wrecked everything by not following the books, and since the books aren't finished, just like George R.R. Martin, they've kind of just made up completely different storylines that a lot of people don't feel fit the characters at all, and blah, blah, blah. The woman playing Lavinia is too pretty to be Lavinia, etc., etc. In any case, Book Aeneas Would Never, Bawn, on this fanfiction server is actually the actor who plays Aeneas. His name is Marcus Castor Rupp. He is again, not very well concealed version of the guy who played Jaime Lannister in Game of Thrones. I'm not gonna try and pronounce his name, but even the cover of the book illustrates that he's vaguely looking like that actor. And in any case, he is finished with the series because his character has been written out. This is the final season maybe, or something like that. And so he's headed back to LA, and he sees on Twitter that April, who he doesn't know is also his fan fiction writing partner friend, has posted herself in a Lavinia cosplay costume, and she's getting a lot of flack for it because she's plus size. So there are plenty of people who say it's amazing, but there's just as many people saying, ooh, gross, you're too fat to be, pretty, or the usual mean stuff that you get online. And he feels compelled to step in and say, I think she's beautiful. Hey, would you go out with me? Kind of at a, let me prove that I don't find her disgusting, right? And so April and Marcus end up going on this kind of date that's a thing, and he finds out on the date that she is the fanfic writer that he has kind of been working with for a couple years, and does not admit it to, doesn't admit to her that he's actually also, and he has reasons. There are reasons. He's like, I guess it's against his contract to write fan fiction, or he's afraid it goes against. There's this whole subplot where the showrunners are on the warpath because they think people are bad-mouthing the show, and they're trying to find this leak/mole who's been bad-mouthing the show, and that would be a breach of contract, and that kind of thing. So he's afraid that his fan fiction will be taken as criticism of the show because the stuff he writes is like different from the show, or meant to fix the problems in the show, like it should have gone this way kind of thing. And so he keeps it to himself, but he really likes April, and she really likes him, and they go out on another date, and then she throws a hissy fit when he mentions going to the gym and eating healthy, because she thinks he's subtly suggesting she should change her diet and exercise more, which just, I get being sensitive about those things. I have been plus sized. I've had eating disorder, and I've been I've been all over the map. And even still, it felt like a big leap for her to just assume that he's just like suggesting, hey, you want to come see me at the hotel tomorrow morning before I fly out? Because, I usually hit the gym and eat breakfast, and do you want to hang out? And she's taking it as he's trying to get me to exercise with him and eat like oatmeal, or I don't know. Overall, okay, no, just no. Okay, so let me position myself in relation to the material, and then I'll explain why this didn't work for me. Number one, I got my start in fan fiction, and I have a lot of feelings about and towards that community, and I love it, and I really appreciate all of the support they've given me over the years. My fan fiction is still probably my most popular works. My original work never got as much attention as my fan work did. And I mean, so yeah, and then I worked in film, so I also kind of understand Marcus's job and that industry, and having these points of context, this book didn't ring quite right for me. The book it's got kind of like Fangirl. It's got little snippets of fan fictions in it. It's got snippets of some of the scripts from movies that Marcus has been in there. And then snippets from dialogue on the servers of the fan, like people talking to each other, whatever. At one point, April goes off and does this little tirade about fat phobia and fan fiction. In any case, it's and that's not invalid. I'm just saying, like, in any case, none of those things were written very well. I have quality control issues for some of this, and I get it. Like, there's a lot of bad fan fiction out there, but we're supposed to believe that April and Bond are these great fanfic authors, and the samples did not support that. So yeah, and definitely the scripts that he was part of, I mean, I think they're meant to be funny, or you're supposed to see that he started out really badly, he started out in some really terrible films and stuff, and that's pretty typical of any actor getting their start. They'll take whatever roles they can. But yeah, it wasn't good. And again, I have a screenwriting degree, so I'm looking at these scripts and I'm going, these aren't good. And I'm looking at the fanfiction and I'm going, this isn't good. How am I supposed to feel like these are a great actor, great writers, whatever? I couldn't feel it. Second of all, the characters didn't gel for me. I think it's great that the author tried to like make them multidimensional. April is a geologist and she's got this work family that I actually kind of liked. We didn't see like a ton of them, but I liked them. And she has this complicated relationship with her mother because her mother has issues with her size. And then Marcus, he grew up dyslexic with two highly educated parents who eventually homeschooled him because he was not doing well in regular schools. And they just kind of threw up their hands and, you know, he's just stupid and lazy or whatever. And I'm like, I don't know, like, I feel like having one character with a parent complication is probably good, but both of them at this level felt like a little much. And it felt very surface. It felt very like, I don't know. There wasn't a lot of depth to those relationships. We just see the parents being jerks, basically. And I know that some people have those relationships with their parents, but it's usually a little more complicated than that. And so I just felt like it was in there to be in there, but it didn't actually add a whole lot. And then Marcus is almost too, you know, he's trying so hard to be feminist and good, and you know, and the result was not a lot of good conflict. Like, most of the conflict came from both of them having good intentions and then miscommunicating. And if you hate miscommunication tropes, this book would drive you crazy, which I do. Like, I was like, there was no tension, there was no conflict. They immediately are attracted to each other, so there's none of the fun like tension there. They're, you know, they're on their second date, they're kind of like all over each other in public. They get caught by paparazzi. You know, I'm like, I would have expected Marcus at least to be smarter than that. April, who's so, you know, reserved in some ways and like aware of her looks, and yet she's out there in Golden Gate Park, just, you know. That's the other thing. A lot of this is set in and around San Francisco, which is the area I live in. She called it like the Academy. I was like, does she mean the Academy of Sciences? And then when she was like talking about the earthquake simulator, I was like, yeah, they're in the Academy of Sciences. I've never heard anybody call it the Academy. We all just call it the Academy of Science, you know. But anyway, okay. That was just a little thing that bothered me. So, you know, it's, I don't know. And then I didn't feel any chemistry. There was just no heat, and we get into these very kind of long-winded sex scenes that are just very technical, and I just got nothing from them, like just zero. So overall, like I almost gave it I gave it 1.5, which on Goodreads, I went ahead and rounded up to 2, but it just wasn't good. It wasn't good. I didn't care about any of the conflicts. Like, I didn't care about, like, I just felt both of them were kind of obnoxious in their own ways. He wasn't being, like, forthcoming about being Bond. She had all these hang-ups, except when she didn't. Like, she fell into bed with him, like, immediately, and I'm like, for somebody who's like, oh, he's trying to make me lose weight, you know, I don't know, I expected a little bit more conflict. You're like in their heads, and it's not even interesting in their heads, and it's kind of repetitive, and I'm sorry if you can hear the trash truck out there, but it just there was no steam. And then there's just the overall sense that this was originally fanfiction. This was originally author insert Game of Thrones fanfiction. That's what it feels like, right? It feels like the author inserted themselves into meeting the Jaime Lannister, like, actor, and ooh, we fall in love and all this stuff. Although my understanding is maybe it's from the Game of Thrones, like, fandom where it's Brianna and Jaime. And okay, so to be fair, I watched Game of Thrones. I'm not like some huge fan. I tried to read the books. I didn't get 3 pages, guys. I couldn't. Uh, just not for me. And I really only watched it because my husband really enjoyed it. So I agreed to sit in the room with him while it was on. Like, I was not super invested in Game of Thrones. So, maybe I would have felt differently if this was a fandom I was already into. But I haven't read Ali Hazelwood. I have zero desire to read Ali Hazelwood, and I love Reylo, but I'm just like, I don't want to see fan fiction turned into, like, romance novels. Sorry, I just feel like fan fiction is fan fiction. And then, I want my romance novels not to be fan fiction, which is interesting, because I liked Once Upon a K-Prom, if you find that video. That's fanish, right? It's about a girl whose best friend growing up becomes a famous K-pop star, and then he comes back to take her to prom. And the fan, flavor of that was perfect for me. And this, nope. Just nope. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird to make it so very obviously this person who's a real person. And yeah, at the same time, as I was reading it, I was kind of hearing like a Chris Hemsworth, like pretending to be dumb Thor type in my head. Just because part of Marcus's shtick is that he pretends to be dumb in interviews, like big dumb guy, and then he won't have to answer any complicated questions, and he won't have to talk about his dyslexia and things like that. Which, again, valid. And if we had gone a little deeper into some of that, maybe, I don't know, this just felt like somebody who tried to make it layered and complex, and still it wasn't. And like I said, there was no chemistry between these characters. For me, I didn't feel any heat. I didn't feel any tension. I didn't care about any of the conflict plot points because they just felt dumb. It's just dumb. And, yeah, nope. And I guess there was like a little thing in the back that Marcus's co-star Alex gets his own like love story book in the next, they planted seeds of him and his handler Lauren, and them like falling in love kind of thing. And yeah, I don't care. I don't care. The writing was probably on a technical sense fine, but it didn't grab me, and it didn't, like I said, it didn't evoke any emotion in me. It all felt like very, I don't know, I didn't connect. And definitely with the fan fiction snippets and the script snippets and stuff. Yeah, no, not for me. So yeah, I ended up giving it 1.5 stars. I mean, I was really close to just giving it 1 star, but that felt maybe a little too harsh. I don't know if I've ever given a book 1 star, short of it being like literally harmful. And this isn't harmful, it's just not good, in my opinion. Again, if you love this book, if you love this author and the rest of the books, then more power to you. I mean, clearly a lot of people do. She's a popular author, but yeah, not for me. So that book now ranks as the lowest rating I've given all year. On Goodreads it's 2 stars, which I also actually gave Brokeback Mountain, but I liked Brokeback Mountain more, maybe simply because it's only 55 pages long, so at least it's over faster. This just felt like it was going on and on for no reason. I mean, like I said, there's just whole chapters of them shagging in her apartment and nothing else is happening, and I'm just like, is this a PWP? Like, we call plot what plot, but I think in the book she referred to it as a different P word without plot, which either way, yeah, but it just felt like they tried to shoehorn some kind of plot around the desire to tell a story about a fan falling in love with the actor. And it's just, that's not for me. Maybe because I've worked with too many actors and it's just like, ugh. Like, ugh. Just on their behalf, I'm like, ugh. You know, like I've worked with actors who had stalkers and stuff. And, no. No, you know, they appreciate their fans most assuredly, but we don't and I'm sure there are plenty of actual stories of actors falling in love with fans. I think I saw like some listicle ones of that, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe I couldn't suspend my disbelief enough for it. Overall, it just seemed to miss every single mark for me. Like, it just hit nothing for me. And that just, for me, it was a book that failed. But, like, again, that's me. That's my preference and my tastes. This went against all of them. I'm all here for the fat rep, though. Love that. Just wish it had been in a character that I liked a little more. And I think like the idea overall is not terrible, but this execution didn't work for me. So anyway, that's me ranting about this book for like 20 minutes, and I'm gonna go read the new Percy Jackson next. So we'll see how that goes. In the meantime, let me know if you've read this book, other books by Olivia Dade, other books that are like this. Maybe there's something similar that I would like more. Let me know in the comments, and until next time, take care.